Welcome back to the Gweilo 60 channel. It's me. I'm here back in the studio today and just loving it. I got lights and I think everything's starting to come together a little bit better than it has in the past, but that's up to you to decide. Anyway, have you been watching what's going on in the news again now? And the Americans sent another 5 political delegates to Taiwan. China's got their nose up in a tiff and they're starting blowing guns off again and military exercises. And the United States is sitting back saying, how dare these people react like this? They're overreacting. They shouldn't be doing this. They should, oh no, we get, oh, look at these guys. And they're using their media to do this. Well, you got to understand, for all of you younger people out there, that this isn't the first rodeo for these people. They have done this constantly over the last 70 or 80 years. What do you mean? Well, okay, let's go back to Korea. Back in the 1950s, North Korea and South Korea were fighting for the peninsula. North Korea was winning, and the Americans jumped in on the South Korean side because North Korea is communist? Oh, yes. Can't have a communist country winning a fight. Okay, so they jump in on the side of the South Koreans, and then what happens? They push them back, and they're pushing them back, and then all of a sudden the Chinese send 1 million Chinese over the border, and they push them back to the line, and that's where that conflict has stayed for the past 72 years. This conflict could have been over in the 50s, but no. It's still going on today. There's no armistice. There's really no ceasefire. There's nothing. They're just sitting there. There's still a war there, and they're just keeping an eye on each other over the DMZ. And yes, the American army is in South Korea. Okay, so this has gone on for 72 years. At the same time, they did the same thing with Taiwan. They stopped the war between the People's Liberation Army and the KMT. So the American 7th Fleet got in the middle of them and said, oh no, and the Chinese at that time weren't strong enough to fight. So this separation of Taiwan is not a natural thing. Taiwan is part of China, has been part of China, and probably will be part of China again someday. But this conflict has been going on for 72 years. Okay, what would happen if it was all over and Taiwan was part of China and North Korea would won, and well, then they wouldn't be able to sell arms to South Korea and they wouldn't be able to sell arms to Taiwan. Exactly. So it would just be a bad business decision for the Americans not to keep these wars going on as long as they possibly can, because why screw with your best customers in the world as far as arms are concerned? You know what I mean? So you jump ahead a little bit further here, and Vietnam, the Vietnam War, well, South Vietnam, North Vietnam, you know, the communist North and the South and all of that other stuff, and it went on for a number of years, and 58,000 American soldiers died. I don't know how many Vietnamese died, but you've got to understand that during the Vietnam War, it wasn't just the Vietnamese in there. The Russians were helping, and 320,000 Chinese troops were in Vietnam at that time. They spent, I think, $20 billion supplying the North Vietnamese with guns and training and stuff like that. And back in those days, that's a lot of money. So when the United States is jumping in on these other countries' civil wars, well, each of these countries that we've talked about so far, and the province of Taiwan, have all been on the border of China. So why do you think the Americans are there? Are they trying to stop China from growing that communist growth in that area of the world? Better red than dead. You can't be communist. Communism is bad. Everybody knows that because the mainstream American media has told you this over and over and over again for over 7 decades. All of the kids, everybody that's alive has been indoctrinated and brainwashed to think that communism is bad. When you go over to a communist country like like China or Vietnam, and you see how they've grown, how they've got the culture, they've got the high-speed trains, they've got they've got all of the stuff that we don't have. Like, seriously, they've got all of the stuff that we don't have, that we wish we did have. The state-of-the-art airports and hospitals and low cost of living. You know, go out for all you can eat and all you can drink, 12 bucks Canadian. For all you Americans, that'd be about $9 American. And when I mean all you can eat and all you can drink, yes, I'm talking beer, wine, baijiu, all of the food and everything. You come out of there even fatter than when you went in. But you see, in the eyes of the American people, in the eyes of the Canadian people, in the eyes of everybody around the world, communism is somehow bad. There's only 5 communist countries left in the world. Cuba, which has been under sanctions from the Americans since the 60s. Why? Because Cuba used to be like American soil, and Fidel Castro started the rebellion and created Cuba, the communist Cuba that it is today. And they fought off these sanctions, and they've just survived. But America has sanctioned them since basically day one, which Americans aren't even allowed to go over there. Like, it's one of these things. So Cuba is a communist country. You've got Vietnam. Everybody knows Vietnam is a communist country. You got Laos. Laos, when they say, well, what's America got to do with Laos? America had one of the, well, actually the largest military action by the CIA in Laos against Vietnam. It went on for 13 years. 13 years. So it's no different than having a war in Laos, because it was run by the American government. So all of these countries that are bordering, except for Cuba, that's over on the other side of the world. But and another thing is that China's always stepped in on behalf of these communist countries. When the United States was peltering Cuba with, what was that? What was that radio station? Oh, and then they got sanctions against Russia. Russia's not communist anymore. Hasn't been since 1991. But they used to be communist, so you can sanction them too. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Russia's on the border of China. The Laos is right there. You got Vietnam right on the border of China. Actually, Vietnam is only an hour and a half drive from where we live in Nanning, in Guangxi Autonomous Region, China. You got North Korea, that's right on the border of China. You got Taiwan, that's 120 kilometers, 140 kilometers off the coast of Fujian province. So the provinces are basically just about touching type thing. All of these things, and even more, when the end of the Civil War was they were just cleaning up some islands, and the People's Liberation Army was taking a couple islands, Jinmen, and I can't remember the other one. Anyway, when they were doing this, the United States actually threatened China 3 times with nuclear action. They were going to bomb China 3 times with nuclear bombs. They got so much flack from the European group of countries that they backed off on that. But still, they've taken it from extreme to extreme. Actually, they've used their military around the world to devastate countries. If it wasn't in Vietnam, if it wasn't in North Korea, if it wasn't in Laos, and if it wasn't in Cuba, if it wasn't in China, it was in Syria. If it wasn't in Afghanistan, it was in Libya. If it wasn't in Venezuela, it was in Cuba. You know what I mean? It's not just one place that they've been doing this. It's all over the world. And you see, they have the media there. So if you're a country and you say, well, these guys are doing this, they can't do, then they let the media loose on you, and it makes you guys look bad. How dare you react like that? We only sent government officials to Taiwan, to a province of China, and called it a country and sold it arms and stopped the reunification of Taiwan with its mother country, China. We only did it, but how dare you overreact and do military drills around? You know, so that's part of it. And the military is the other thing, because the United States has over 800 bases around the world. Like, these guys are freaking everywhere, and most of them are circling China. Who do you think they think is the biggest threat in the world? It's not Russia. I'll take that one off. So who else is out there? Because China is now getting to the point, 20% of the world's population, they're the second largest economy, and that's by dollar. But for purchasing power parity, they're way ahead of the United States. They can buy more with the dollars that they've got. So they're advancing quicker. They've got the best infrastructure. They've got high-speed trains. They've got the airports. They've got the hospitals. They've got partners that they're building inroads around the world. The Belt and Road Initiative is, you know, they'll tell you that it's bad, but it's done a lot of good. They'll say it's unsustainable. They'll use that media against them. You know what I mean? So they're feeding you the anti-communist Kool-Aid, and they want you to drink that anti-communist Kool-Aid, because that's what they do to try to blacken the eye of China. So they're bad and we're good. How dare you react to us like that? And you know, and it goes on, and the United States does this so often, and it's so like them that they do this, that the rest of the world sees it, and it gets worse and worse, and we just become comfortably numb by the idea of what the Americans are doing. So we just put up with it because this is normal behavior. But if anybody else ever acted like they do, like the Russians did when they went into the Ukraine, oh, how dare them! Let's sanction the living bejesus out of these boys and girls. And that's the way that they do it. And all of their little cronies, like the UK and Canada and Australia, you know, India, they all jump on board and say, oh, these guys are bad, these guys are bad. But they don't look into their own past, and then you say, oh, that was back then. That's no. It's happening today, guys and girls. So when you're looking at all of this stuff, when you're looking at this Taiwan thing that's going on right now, you have to understand and understand it. This has been going on for 7 or 8 decades. Not just in Taiwan, not just in Vietnam, not just in Cuba, not just in North Korea, not just in Russia, not just in Syria or Afghanistan. It's not happening just in Venezuela, El Salvador. It hasn't just happened in Peru or Panama. It hasn't just, you know what I mean? There's a pattern there that's been going on for all of this time, and every single time you look behind the scenes, who is responsible for this? And it's the United States of America. And that, my friends, is my beef for the day. If you like the video, as always, like, comment, subscribe. If you don't, like, comment, subscribe. Put a couple bucks in the Patreon account. And if you can't do that, buy Gweilo a couple of coffees, because I'll turn those into beers. Oh yes, we haven't slowed down very much at all. And like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching. Peace out. Bye now.